probably, this is an oversimplification, but I think it'll be a good illustration, is if you have a business that has only one client, I would suggest that that is lacking in resilience, because if that one client left, the business would have a hard time surviving.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a business that has multiple clients and has some diversity, that is an increase in that business's an increase in their resiliency, because if something should happen negative with one of their clients, there are others to pick up the slack, and there also is a history of adding other clients, so they might be able to replace the one that is lost. If you only have the one client, it's starting to hint that you may not be able to get other clients, and you would have a significant problem in the business model if that client
Mm-hmm.
went away, or even drastically cut down on the amount of, buying that they're doing from the firm. Is that a good example?
It is. And it really points to some different ways that we look at resiliency depending on where we are in the market and what our businesses are like. So in a corporation or business such as yours, where you've got clients and products and all of that sort of thing, it's imperative that you have a beautiful flow of clients in. You have your clients that are very, very happy, and then as some of them leave, as they often do, right? Or not often, but as they do, you are able to wish them well and move on, because you're not holding so tight to them. They're not the lifeblood of your business, right?
That's exactly right.
And so that is that really works in the context of corporations. Now let's take a look at in context of what your clients are actually doing in your business with you, or what I teach my clients. So with you, they're investing in a lot of different avenues, correct? What kinds of products do you often sell? You might have mutual funds, stocks, life insurance policies, right? Maybe even real estate, right? There's a lot of different stuff, right? Annuities. Those products, your client wants to create resilience within their portfolio, which means diversification, correct? So
yes.
For them, they're going to want to have all of those things. As a financial planner, that's what you're going to teach them, how to balance based on what their goals are, right? What they need, how much of this, how much of this, how much of this. And that creates a resilient portfolio for them so that their life goals can be met. And life goals are going to change from 20 to 30 to 45 to 50 to 70, right? Those life goals change, and you want to stay resilient through the whole time, and the way that you balance that portfolio is going to change, right, based on that. But when you talk on a business like mine, where I'm in real estate, and so much of our money often goes into one project, so we're very, very heavy in one project, we don't have the opportunity for diversity until a little bit later on in the game. Like now, I have an opportunity for a lot of diversity. I can invest in different states, different housing classes, multi-unit, single-family home, whatever it is, right? So I've been in the business for 25 years, so I can create that diversity. But someone who's starting out can't. So then how do they create the resilience? Well, first of all, you don't want to overinvest, right? You don't want to put more than your minimum down. You want to make sure that you're leveraging other people's money. People say all sorts of horrible things about banks. I love banks because they take 80% of the risk and give me all of the profit. Right? I put in 20% and I'm done, and I get 100% of the appreciation, right? So it's all perspective too. So that's one way to stay resilient, is that you're not taking all the risk. But the other piece about that is to give yourself the time to be right. And let me tell you a little bit about what I mean by that. In 2008, there were a lot of people that lost their homes. There was a lot of pain out there, and certainly that was an unfortunate thing that had to happen with a lot of people. They lost their jobs, or things they couldn't replace their job. Things went wrong. They couldn't afford their mortgages, and they lost their home. But what happened to a lot of people was a couple of things, and they did not need to lose their homes. The first thing was that they were over leveraged, so they did not put the 20% down. right? So they didn't mitigate risk and keep themselves resilient by having a little bit of equity in the home. The other thing that they did is that they freaked out. They didn't realize that in the markets, whether it's the stock market or the real estate market, in the markets there are cycles. Now this was a dramatic cycle and it sucked. Admittedly, I lost 50% of my value of all of my properties. So I was multiple $1 million underwater on paper. But the key words are on paper. I was able to hold them and ride the market back up. You don't lose money until you sell. That's true in the stock market, and that's true with real estate, right? So if you can hold, then you can recover. And that is resiliency in the real estate market, giving yourself enough time and leverage to be right. So I was able to hold, all my properties recovered. I'm now way above water on that. Like on the other end, I'm multiple $1 million above, right? But it happened because I planned in my opportunities for resiliency. I have cash in liquid assets, so when things got bad, I was able to pay the mortgage each month on each of those houses, so I didn't have to lose them. I rented out those houses. Ironically, rents went up while people were losing their homes, right? So my cash flow actually went up. But it was a plan. Be right. I didn't have to make money in a year. I didn't have to make money with real estate in 2 years. It wasn't a get-rich-quick plan. I had the time to be right. And for me, in real estate, when you're doing something like that kind of business, that's what resiliency looks like. So resiliency, if you have a focus on that, it's hugely important. Like I say, in your own happiness, for the success of your business, and for keeping your stress down in both of those things. But it can look different in the different industries that you're in. So just find ways to build that into your business model no matter what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Very impressive. That was really good. So let's move on a little bit to what I really was anxious to talk to you about, this notion that women are increasingly an economic force today. I think some of the statistics that I've come across is that about 4 out of 10 married couples have the wife earning more than the spouse. And this, of course, has been a trend for a long time, with that percentage of women who out-earn their husbands increasing a lot over time. And also you have an environment, and this is what you help women with who want to become involved in real estate investing, is female entrepreneurship is exploding. I think about 4 to 10 businesses are owned by women. So can you talk a little bit about this strong, powerful trend where women continue to grow as an economic force in this country?
Yeah, it's so funny because to see how things have changed over the last 20, 25 years. It used to be that women were the economic force because we spent a lot of money, right? It used to say, for Christmas, you wanted to have, the malls had to be like set up for all the women because that was our economic force. We were known as the spenders, right? So I love that women have now moved to the earners, and it's always been our capacity, but it's, again, just becoming aware of what we're capable of, and the opportunities also opening up for us, and also our determination to create those opportunities. A lot of women that I talk to now, I'll say, instead of buying a handbag or a dress, buy a house. And they look at me like, what are you talking about? And it's really just about shifting the focus. I actually have a really funny story about that. My little sister and I were out on a Sunday afternoon. We were driving, and she's like, Moneeka, let's go to the mall. I feel like buying a dress. And I said, ooh, I feel like going shopping. Yeah, let's do that. I feel like buying a new house. And she looks at me like, what are you talking about? But I think that this is more how us women are thinking is, I don't care about the dresses and the purses and the shoes and the earrings. I care about my children, my future, and my career. And not necessarily in that order, you know. And so we have really stepped forward into our power as far as earning. There's been a lot of societal support around that too. A lot of companies are making huge efforts to make sure that women get paid the same as men, that we get promoted into better positions. What's also interesting in the market that you see is that more women are going to college than men. So we tend to have more white-collar jobs rather than the blue-collar jobs. So we do tend to have these higher-paying positions. And in the investing world, I am so excited to see how on fire women are, because they want the generational wealth for their children. They want to be able to take nice vacations. They want to be able to take care of themselves and not have to answer to anybody else. I think all of us, and this is more of like a personal opinion and sort of relationship advice, whether it's welcome or not, but I think that a lot of women have gotten very tired of being told, I make the money around here, and told, you know, how much you can and cannot spend, right? As we're earning more, it's important that we don't turn that around, that now we become in our relationships more partnership-oriented, where both of us are earning, both of us have a division of labor within the household and within our budgets, right? And both of us have the freedom to spend and to have conversations about our budget. So I think those are a lot of the big changes that are happening in families and also in our society about how women are really changing the way economics are working.
So let me ask you this in terms of a follow-up. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the entirety of my career, and I'm amazed at the numbers of women that are gravitating to entrepreneurial endeavors, small businesses. You know, the catchy phrase today is the sideline hustle, that kind of thing.
Right.
Why do you think women are gravitating to entrepreneurship in such large numbers? I have my thoughts, but you are in this way more than I am. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, I would love to hear your thoughts, but my thought is passion. I think that men tend to define themselves by their work. Women tend to define themselves by their passion. And so a woman who's in a corporation, who's working for somebody else, she is not as able to express who she truly is, what her passions are, what her beliefs are, what her values are, as she can if she opens up her own business. In her own business, even though our businesses tend to own us rather than us owning them, right? Because if we are passionate, we spend so much time working, and that's not always true, but a lot of times, and even though we sacrifice some of the time freedom, right, what we get is a freedom to express, a freedom to implement our passion, a freedom to change the world in a way that we feel will make it better. So I think that's really the big thing. In all the business women, you know, that's what keeps us in this struggle, because running a business is not easy, especially those first few years. It's hard. And what keeps us going is that passion. You know, it's what is it that we want? What is it that we have desired to birth and create in the world?
That's wonderful.
So what do you think
good.
it is?
So I think, having been an entrepreneur my entire career, I think, and I could get myself in trouble, right, because I'm going to tell my female guest what I think women are thinking.
Well, and you know, but you know what? What's really, really valuable about that, Chris, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that, but it is important for us also to get the perspective, right?
Yes.
Because then we can create more balance, right?
So I think that with the increase in technology, it becomes easier to work remotely, to work from home, to work without an infrastructure like lots of office and equipment and things like that. And entrepreneurship in some ways is